And good morning, Tampa Bay. I am 10 Tampa Bay meteorologist Rich Fields here in the newsroom with a look at your day's forecast. There's food. A lot of these folks were here late last night for the elections, and they're here very early again this morning, so the station's feeding everybody again. All right, let's see what's going on in and around the Tampa Bay area with regard to our weather forecast. I always like to start with some live shots, 6 beautiful live shots in and around the Tampa Bay area. Oh, see, we got Tampa International up there today. Let's go check it out, see what's going on at Tampa International. Nobody flying in or out right now. There's a shot from the Wyndham Grand Clearwater Beach. That's looking north along Clearwater Beach out into the Gulf of Mexico. That is Pier 60. That is literally the end of Route 60. And you can make out a little bit of high cloud cover out there. That is the shot from the Bellwether Beach Resort camera, St. Pete Beach, looking south. A lot of cloud cover out there. Sounds like a party, doesn't it? I'm missing the party. And some folks out there water skiing. Looks good. Looks really nice out there right now. Mahaffey Theater shot looking out toward the St. Pete Pier, and way out there in the distance on the horizon on the left-hand side of your screen, you might be able to make out downtown Tampa, all the way across Tampa Bay, and some cloud cover bubbling out there as we look to the east. And this camera is out there east in Lakeland, the Mid-Florida Credit Union camera in Lakeland. You can see the clouds streaming in. And with the heating of the day, we're certainly going to get some activity today, folks. Wait till you hear about it. Actually, the next couple of days, our precipitable water values here in the state of Florida are sky high. They're over, if you keep track of this stuff, they're over 2 inches for the foreseeable future. I mean, we're talking a week and a half, 2 weeks out. That's the amount of water vapor in the air, available water to be able to tap into to create thunderstorms and to feed thunderstorms. So with the heat that we get here in Florida, it heats up the landmass, the state of Florida. The heat rises, kaboom! And you get that heavy shower and thunderstorm activity. Downtown Tampa from the Armature Works camera. A couple big billowing clouds out there. 88 degrees right now in downtown Tampa. At just a couple minutes after 11 in the morning, already feels like 100. That's not so bad. I'll tell you what is bad. This right here, the dew point, 77 degree dew point. And when you get 88 degrees, lots of humidity, man, it's hard to stay pleasant as you go through our day. So here's our weather headlines in a nutshell. Our flow is going to continue to be out of the south and east. So it's coming out of the Caribbean, across the state of Florida, warm, moist air mass. And as I mentioned, the atmospheric water values, or the precipitable water it's called in meteorology, the atmospheric water values are sky high. So we can expect some potent afternoon showers and thunderstorms the next few days. I mean, we've had thunderstorm activity every day for the last month or so. But it's going to be more widespread and possibly a little more volatile than usual. There's the state of Florida on the satellite and radar. Not a whole lot going on right now. You may be able to make this mess out up here off the Panhandle, off Panama City right now. There is a stalled out front right at the Florida-Georgia line up here. And so the prevailing winds along that front are moving in that direction. Our flow out of the Caribbean is moving southeasterly. So we're getting a pooling or a coalescence of all this weather activity right there. This front, by the way, is going to start to sag just a little bit south over the course of the next couple of days, and that's going to push all of this moisture right into the Tampa Bay area. So there's a little closer look on our DMA, our service area here in the Tampa Bay area. Not much going on right now, but that's all going to change very shortly within the next couple of hours. here in the Tampa Bay area. There's that front I was talking about, that stalled out front. Oops, don't want to do that. Well, we're going to do it anyway. Let me go back one and reset that. There we go. There's that stalled out front, as I mentioned, just north of the Florida-Georgia line right now. Area of low pressure out over East Texas. They got huge amounts of rain in Texas the last couple of days. One in part due to that storm. It never became tropical, but nonetheless it made landfall right about at the Mexico-South Texas border. A lot of rain. I think Dallas saw something like 10 inches out of it. And you got to remember, these are drought-stricken areas. There is nowhere for this moisture to go. The earth, the land there is so hot, so dry. There's nowhere for this water to go, and so some massive flooding problems through much of Texas. And they're still receiving some of those flooding problems, or some of that rainfall, I should say, now up through the Houston area and on into Louisiana and Mississippi, Alabama. And it will all start pushing a little further south the next couple of days. Here's Futurecast. You can see that tropical moisture. I've put in some arrows there to show you it's a southeasterly flow. Let's put Futurecast into motion. We woke up to high clouds this morning. That's 2 o'clock this afternoon, and we're already seeing some thunderstorm activity start to bubble up right here in our neck of the woods. This is Pinellas County, where all the Gulf beaches are. This is Hillsborough County, this square right here. Tampa Bay proper, the actual bay is right underneath that 92-degree mark. And by 2 o'clock, we're going to see some shower, at least some shower activity, if not some thunderstorm activity, start to pop up by about 2 o'clock. The Gulf breeze, the sea breeze, the Gulf sea breeze, usually or lately, I should say, has been pushing in about 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So it makes perfect sense that we're going to see thunderstorm activity pop-ups, because when you get the Gulf sea breeze pushing in, I can't turn this arrow around, but when you get the Gulf sea breeze pushing in to the land and you've got that easterly flow off the Atlantic, everything starts lining up right along the Tampa Bay coastline. And that's exactly what we're going to see later on today as well. So there's 6 o'clock this evening. You can see some of the heavy shower and thunderstorm activity down to our south, pushing up through the area just southwest of Sebring. 7 o'clock, it all starts lining up, coalescing and lining up right along this axis, right along the sea breeze axis, where the two sea breezes meet, where the sea breeze from the east meets the Gulf breeze from the west, and it's all going to line up right there. So we're talking about some late activity lingering around the area, and then by the time the sun starts going down, we start losing the heat, the storms start dissipating, and we clear out to mostly clear skies by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. There'll be a few clouds inland, Lakeland, Orlando, places like that. And then we'll start the whole regime over again. Here's the actual atmospheric moisture model. The dry areas that you see, or the yellow and orange areas that you see up to our north, that's relatively dry air. And you can really make out that stalled out front right along this axis right there. So everything to the south of that front is that pooling moisture. Remember, things are pushing, our flow is pushing up out of the south and east, and it's hitting right up against this front. So all of this area is atmospheric moisture pooling right over the state of Florida and much of the Gulf states, as a matter of fact. So the darker green that you see, these swaths of these areas here of dark green, pardon me, and through South Florida, much of South Florida as well, very high water values. And this is today. I'm going to put it into motion to tomorrow. Look at this. Look at how we're engulfed in 2 inches or more of precipitable water value. That's Thursday. Friday, it does not let up. Saturday, does not let up. Sunday, more moisture. Monday, more moisture. Tuesday, it's unrelenting. This is all the way into Wednesday of next week, and we really don't see any kind of relief with regard to the available water to tap into for thunderstorm activity. So we expect 70–80% chances of rain for the next week and a half or so. Again, heating of the day, mornings are going to be fantastic. Heating of the day, shower and thunderstorm activity pops up in the center of the state where the landmass heats up, hot air rises, and then as the Gulf sea breeze starts to weaken, everything propagates right over us here on the western coast of Florida, and that's why we're going to have late day shower and thunderstorm activity. And why we expect it, that's for sure. So remember, with these storms, a couple of things. I mean, certainly we could have gusty winds. Some of the outflow boundaries could be very gusty, 45 miles an hour plus. Heavy downpours, possibly hail. There could be hail cores involved in some of these storms. And certainly frequent lightning. And remember, we've had a number of stories on the air about lightning strikes and people getting hit by lightning. If you can hear thunder, that means there's lightning that can hit you. Up to 20 miles away from a thunderstorm, the lightning can hit you. I remember when I was working in Los Angeles not too long ago, there was a storm offshore of Catalina Island. How's the song go? 26 miles out in Catalina, out in the bay, out in the Pacific. So there's a storm over Catalina, and a lightning strike actually hit somebody, and unfortunately they died on Santa Monica Beach. So if you can hear thunder, that means there's lightning. Lightning creates thunder, folks, so don't mess around with it, okay? Go indoors. Here's expected rainfall the next 5 days. Not only are we paying particular attention to the number and the color coding, but look at the coverage maps. The entire state of Florida, pretty much, is going to be involved in heavy rainfall and thunderstorm activity the next couple of days. And there's no tropical system in our neck of the woods. But we do have a couple of out there, and we're going to talk about that here coming up in a couple minutes. So 70–80% chance of rain, certainly through Sunday, and even on into next week, as a matter of fact. The weekend weather, mostly sunny first half of the day, and then thunderstorms likely. 80% chance of rain both Saturday and Sunday. Our daytime high temperatures are going to come down just a little bit because of the excessive cloud cover. So the sun's not going to be able to heat things up as much. But still, there'll be enough heat to create these shower and thunderstorms for us. So that's the weekend. I want to talk about hurricane season. 30 years ago today, Hurricane Andrew hit the United States. One of the most devastating hurricanes the state of Florida has ever witnessed. Here is the path that Andrew took to get here. And by the way, Andrew was the first storm of the 92 hurricane season. There were only 6 named storms the entire season, and this horrible storm actually happened. It was the first storm, Andrew, first storm. And it really threw forecasters for a loop because it started to die out. Actually, there was one time, I was just speaking with Grant Gilmore about this morning. There was one time out in the Atlantic when the National Hurricane Center was actually going to let it go and not even talk about it anymore. It was dying out so much. It wasn't even a depression, certainly not a tropical storm, not a tropical depression, and it looked like it was breaking up. And then it just happened to find a warm pocket of water and all the parameters necessary to start feeding that hurricane or that system again, and it became one of the strongest hurricanes to ever hit Florida. And you can see its circuitous path that it took as it come into the state of Florida. And just before it made landfall, it started to weaken a little bit. You can see right here, we had Cat 5, see the black? We had Cat 5 through the northern Bahamas, and then she started to weaken, or he, Andrew. So down to a Cat 4, everybody still concerned, but breathing a little sigh of relief. But then as it made landfall over Dade County, what happened? Kaboom. Category 5 hurricane. It strengthened as it made landfall. And of course, most of us remember what happened to Dade County. It was a mass exodus. There was so much devastation, so many houses destroyed. People just took their FEMA money, and it was a mass exodus out of Dade County. A lot of those folks came up into the Tampa Bay area, which is on the western side of the state of Florida, and knock on Formica, a little more protected from storms unless they get into the Gulf. If they get into the Gulf, whew, we are on high alert. We're on high alert at any time a storm gets near Florida, because as we can see from Andrew, that land, no matter what the path, there's Tampa, even if it came across the state of Florida, and we've seen many do this, they can still hit pretty good, pretty powerful. And a lot of our building codes here in the state of Florida changed dramatically because of Andrew. Things like roof staples and stuff like that that literally hold the roof down to your home, and foundations, and just all the code, new codes that were put in place, building codes that were put in place because of Andrew. Certainly anything that was built after August 24th of 1992 is a lot more structurally sound than it ever was before. And even houses like the house I own was built in 1958. So the whole first floor, back then they used cinder block. And so the whole first floor is like a bunker. Everything above it obviously is not cinder block, but nonetheless it's all tied to the cinder block. The roof is tied to that, and much better situation with regard to being safe and secure when it comes to storm time. So let's talk about Hurricane Andrew 30 years later, strongest hurricane to hit South Florida, 165 mile an hour wind speeds. Nutty, huh? 44 deaths in the state of Florida alone, 50,000 homes destroyed. I mean, this was a big, bad, powerful storm. 1 out of 4 U.S. Category 5 landfalls since number one most powerful hurricane of Cat 5 landfalls since 1900 in the United States. 75% track forecast improvement since Andrew. The Hurricane Center and the National Weather Service just upped their game tremendously because of Andrew. 50% intensity forecast improvement since Andrew as well. So aside from the devastation, a lot of good came from it. So bad stuff. Boy, I remember it was bad. All right, let's talk about the tropics, huh? This is what's going on out there. We're identifying tropical waves out in the Atlantic. There are actually 2 big ones that we're watching. So let me point these out. These are systems now. The Hurricane Center out of Miami has given a chance of development to. This one here, just east of Barbados, has a 20% chance of developing in this shaded area on your screen in the next 5 days. 20% chance of developing into something tropical, depression, storm, otherwise, in the next 5 days in that area. And this disturbance here coming off the coast of Africa is one we're really watching. I mean, Bobby Deskins and I were looking at this yesterday in more detail on the computers and really dissecting this. This is a huge storm, folks. Huge storm coming off of Guinea and Monrovia. And it has a 20% chance of forming into something tropical in this shaded area in the next 5 days as well. Up here is where all the shear is. Wind shear are very powerful winds that can literally shear off the top of a storm, blow a storm apart completely. The Saharan dust, dry air, is also up in this latitude as well. And look where these storms have found the perfect place to propagate. Right into the warm waters of the Caribbean, God forbid, right into the warmer waters of the Gulf of Mexico. And if you are a fan of the beach and boating reports on the weekends, every Saturday and Sunday here on Facebook and YouTube Live, I've been talking about the water temperatures off our coast. We're regularly sitting now at this time of the year at 89, 90 degree water temperatures. What do you need for hurricane, tropical storm propagation? 80 degrees plus. We're at 90. Talk about feeding a storm. So we're keeping an eye on those two systems right there. Here's your next 12 hours forecast here in the Tampa Bay area. You can see we're going to top out in the low to mid 90s today out at the airport with a good 80% chance of rain coming our way from midday through to about 6 p.m. And again, that's going to pop up inland and then move itself toward the west coast here, some of the Gulf Coast counties later on this evening. And this is going to be the regime we're going to see for the next week or so. Look at the dew point forecast for the next 7 days. We're at a 75 degree dew point today, 75 tomorrow, 74 Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. These are astronomically high dew points, folks. So this is what gives us the feels like temperature well above 100 degrees when we're sitting at 90. Marine forecast for the boaters, southeast winds turning southwesterly once that Gulf breeze kicks in, 10 to 15 knots, seas less than a foot, bay and inland waters at a light chop, no advisories. And there's that Gulf water temperature right there. That's off Clearwater Beach right now, 89 degree Gulf water temperature. It's like bath water. Little or no cloud cover, so right now the UV index is at a solid 11. Great day for boating. Beautiful day to be out on the Gulf or in the bay or inland waters. If you're doing a little fishing against the bridges, whatever. Really nice out there today for the early part of the day till about, I'd say 2 o'clock. If you're in the Gulf, you better start heading in. Well, not even. The storms won't even be they won't even be lining up on our coast till later this evening, so I shouldn't say that. 4 or 5 o'clock, I'd start heading in. Here's the 7-day forecast. Partly cloudy, scattered shower and thunderstorm activity this afternoon at 70%. Daytime high, we expect out at the airport at about 93. 92 tomorrow, 92 on Friday, 92 on Saturday. And look at those rain pops. Those chances of rain the next 7 days. Way up there. 70% today, 80 tomorrow. 80 right on through Monday, 70% chance of rain by next Tuesday. So I will leave that up on the screen for you. Let me check on the site, on the Facebook site here, and see if there's any weather questions. Oh my gosh, look at the people. Lots of folks. Liz Bowman, Polanco, Janice Paul, thanks guys. Appreciate you watching. Let me see if there's any... Mary Rodriguez, good morning from Hillsborough County. Good morning, Mary. Pleasure. We are located, 10 Tampa Bay is located on Gandy Boulevard, just west of the Gandy Bridge in St. Petersburg. So we are right on the bay. We're right on the bay, right at the mouth of, we're not at the mouth, but very close to the mouth of Tampa Bay. And when the you-know-what hits the fan, it's a mass exodus from this facility. We've got a backup site in town at higher ground, and a bunch of us were just out there the other day testing things out, so we're good to go. God forbid something happens. I don't see any questions. Let's see. No weather questions. There's a lot of people saying hello, and I appreciate it. Just too many to say hi to. Betty Payton, Myra Yarborough, Kawana Davis, thanks so much. We appreciate you guys watching, tuning in. We're always going to keep you up to date on what's going on. Every single morning here at 11 o'clock. Bobby Deskins usually hops on Facebook Live 4 o'clock-ish in the afternoon, so you get double coverage here on 10 Tampa Bay. Just so many people. Lee Meek, he says, I wrote out Michael in Panama City, Florida. I remember Michael.
I don't know.
Matter of fact, some of the models show the closest storm to us. Let me back up my computers here real quick. Let me get you off of that shot so I can mess around here. Some of the computer models are showing that that first storm that is just outside, just east of Barbados right now, some of the models are showing that it could come up into the Tampa Bay area, into the Gulf of Mexico certainly, and some of the models are showing it going right up into the Panhandle, right up into Panama City. Not a forecast, just a model. They're predictions, they're computer predictions. There's so many. There are so many. So we're talking about the Panhandle of the state of Florida right here, folks. Like you grab a handle of a pan. So Panama City right in here, and some of the computer models are showing that system in Barbados just entering the Caribbean, coming right into the Gulf of Mexico and heading up into Panama. Oh, sorry. I didn't have the right screen up for you. Didn't have the right screen up for you, sorry. Let me do it again for you. If you're not familiar with the state of Florida, that's the Panhandle right there, because that would be the pan, that would be the handle, and Panama City is right in there. And as I was saying, some of the system that's sitting out here just off Barbados, some of the computer models are showing it coming into the Gulf of Mexico and heading right into Panama City, which is exactly what Michael did. What year was that, Lee? Let me think about this. Escapes me right now. I'd have to look it up. Let's see. Just everybody else saying hello, and I appreciate it. Good morning from California. Aileen Bickers. Where in California? Are you in the Los Angeles area? I was king of the hill out there for a decade. Los Angeles weather, KCBS and KCAL 9. Melina Joy, I'm sorry to say it's going to be your last day on the old 10 Tampa Bay weather site. We're going to have to take you off. There's no spamming, folks. You're going to be gone and quicker than we can say hello. Diana Mills watching. All right, so no weather questions. I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so very much for tuning in today. We really appreciate it. I am going to see what I have for a live shot here. I always try to leave you something pretty and nice. Kind of hazy. I'm trying to find something good. So if you're out of state, you're like, wow, those lucky people. Yeah, first half of the day we're lucky, and then you can set your watch by it. Starts raining, man. Well, she's locked up on me. There we go. There's a nice live shot for you. This is Clearwater Beach, probably the most beautiful. I'm not just saying it because we live here. It's been voted one of the most beautiful beaches in the country year after year after year. White sugar sand beaches. You'll only find them on the Gulf side of the Gulf of Mexico, of the state of Florida. Really nice. So thanks so much for joining us. Our next newscast comes up with Courtney Robertson. I'm sorry, Courtney Robertson. I said Robertson, didn't I? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And
You're the first person to ever make that mistake.
I am. And who's our chief? Bobby Deskins. I got rattled there. I'm sorry, I made that mistake.
I make you all verklempt.
You do make me verklempt. All right, and they will be up at noon today on 10 Tampa Bay, so we will see you next on TV, folks. Bye-bye.